myself again. But it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not true. And it feels alright.
Good evening, welcome to NUFC Matters with me, Steve Wraith. World Cup in full flow, and it feels as if it's been probably the most entertaining days so far, with Cameroon and Serbia playing out a wonderful 3-3 draw. Alexandra Mitrovic on the score sheet for Serbia today, but that was just an amazing comeback by Cameroon, who could have easily gone on to win the game. That was followed by Korea Republic against Ghana, which finished Ghana 3, Korea Republic 2. And for those of you who have watched tonight's game, this evening's game, Brazil have just won by 1-0 against Switzerland. And a nice little cameo there from Newcastle United's talisman, Bruno Guimaraes, who came on. And I've got to say, I think he changed that game. And he changed it for the better, gave Casemiro an opportunity to push on and score a wonderful, slightly deflected goal, it has to be said. But all the better for Brazil being into the next round. Clearly one of the tournament's favourites going in. Nothing has changed anyone's mind, I don't think. And some of the last Brazilian team to win the World Cup were there in the stands to watch the lads get through. Plenty to talk about, as always, on this channel tonight. You can talk about Newcastle United if you want to. You can talk about the World Cup. You can talk about England-Wales, which is coming up tomorrow, or anything else you want to mention tonight. And it's your forum as well. So if you want to jump on, the link is in the chat. Just do what Darren has done. And it's Darren who is up first. How are you, Darren?
Hello, pal. How's it going?
Good to see you, mate. Had a week off last week from the Monday Club. I was in Tenerife filming, but back now, firing on all cylinders and enjoying the World Cup. What about you? Have you enjoyed it?
I've enjoyed it. I say yesterday was not very good games yesterday. I missed the day. I didn't know there was that many goals the day, to be fair. But I watched England on Friday. It was like watching Newcastle and the Sea Bruce again, because we were dreadful. England, how far in our own half, one person that couldn't close them down.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, you start off your group games with a wonderful result against Iran. I don't think anybody saw that coming. England haven't been in form, going into this tournament, to be fair. And a lot of pressure, hits the England managers, when they go into a tournament in not so great form. But he came out with a wonderful 6-2 win. Was that draw against the USA such a bad result? I mean, it means we're qualified from the group. We go into a game against Wales tomorrow. Pressure's all on Wales. They have to come out and attack England. England should be able to pick them off tomorrow, I would imagine. And I'm quietly confident about us, finishing top of the group tomorrow.
Yeah, and like you say, in theory, we should come to win that group. But on a serious note, my opinion, I just think we're rubbish. Harry Kane looked unfit, and Southgate, he's clueless. He doesn't know what he's doing. I've never been a fan of him. And yesterday summed them up, and Friday summed them up. He needed to bring 3 subs on or 4 subs on 3 minutes ago to change the dynamic of the game, of the game, and he didn't do it. Harry Kane was absolutely run up his feet. He now left in, but he kept them on. And when you're not closing them down, well, it's not right. I just think we'll not go very far. I think, yes, we might win tomorrow, should win tomorrow. After that, I can't see it getting past, in my opinion, past that. I think with that bad, England, I just don't think I've got any faith in them.
Interesting. I mean, Phil Foden, a lot of the media are talking about Phil Foden. Should he, should England look to put him in? He's one of the best players. Gary Neville's championed him. Roy Keane said, can't understand why Foden isn't playing. Would you chuck Foden in tomorrow into the starting lineup? Do you think Gareth Southgate will?
I don't know what Gareth's thinking, to be honest. I think he needs to change a wake-up call for the tactics, because the 4-3-3 didn't work on Friday, did it? He needs to get some new energy in that camp, because I say it's boring. Like, it is watching Newcastle United on the Steve Bruce. Gareth Southgate and Steve Bruce went to the same school. I'm sure they did, because it was like that. I was showing at the screen, push up, this left them so much room.
Bit of a bogey team, USA. And I'm not defending Southgate's negativity at times, but he's a tournament manager. He's got us to the final and he's got us to the semi-final in the last 2 tournaments he's played. I'm going to give him a little bit more time to obviously to get it right. And I mean, this is the last chance saloon for a lot of players, Darren. A lot of these players won't make the next World Cup. If they're going to, manage to eclipse the boys in 1966, then a lot of these players know that they're going to have to do it now.
Yeah, it's like Harry Kane, and he probably got one more tournament left in him. That's the Euros. And then he looked unfit on Friday. He didn't look right. But Southgate's just got to play him because he's the main striker. But he's just against Iran, when he tried to knock on his ankle or his foot. He should have got him off there and then, but he kept him on, and to me that's inexperienced manager. For especially international level, you expect him to get him off, and he kept him on. Yes, I think the Euros we should have won. Again, to me, I don't rate. Yes, he's had 2 good tournaments, but I've never been a fan of Southgate, me personally. He's always been a yes man for the FA. I might be wrong on that, but it's just my opinion. But it's hopefully we'll win tomorrow and then see who we get. But I can't see it getting past the round after that.
Stephen Kennedy asking if Ronaldo and Steve Bruce have got timeshare on a body. He is rather rotund, Ronaldo. It's got to be said. The footage of him in the stand there today, he's piled the weight on. Not sure why or how, but he is a big lad. Mr. Sifter says, who was your pick at the start of the tournament, Steve? Has this changed since the first few games have been played out? Got to be honest, it was between France and Spain for me. I couldn't really pick between the two. I think Brazil, watching them, they're playing some wonderful stuff. If they would just drop Fred for Bruno, they may have a chance. But they've got so many talented players, so many gifted players, and they can score goals out of nothing. Brazil could be there or thereabouts. It's the same old faces. France look naughty. They look good, and
Mbappe looks good, doesn't he?
I mean, what a turn of pace that guy has got, and finished the boot. He's
different level, isn't he? Just he guns past people, just like see them tomorrow.
100%, mate. The acceleration in that game the other day came to nothing, but just out of nothing, he just accelerated and yeah. I mean, he's a hell of a player. Spain looked good. They looked dangerous as well. I mean, it's a hard pick between those 3, but I'm going to stick with France and Spain. If you're going to push us and say who do you think is going to win it, I'm going to say France. I haven't looked at the permutations between who meets who and when. But yeah, I think you're going to be hard pushed to beat France. Like, they're an awkward team. They're good defensively. They're very good up front. But Brazil, you never know. There's a bit of romanticism around Brazil in World Cups, and all stems from those days of Pelé. But they've got a really good team this year, Brazil. So I wouldn't be surprised if it works out, the France-Brazil final. It could be interesting. I'm not sure whether they clash in the semis or the quarters, but if they can avoid each other, that would make a fantastic final, I think. Will be interesting. Did you have a favourite at the start, Darren?
The same as you. I fancied France, and the first game they looked really good. Second game they looked good again. But between France and Brazil, me personally, Spain's good passing the ball, but their first game, it wasn't hard for them to score 7 goals. They didn't, again, knee closing down. They showed too much respect. International level. To win 7-0, fair dues. They won 7-0, but it wasn't a hard game for them first game, was it? Do you know what I mean? But Spain's a good passing team, but they will be up there challenging Brazil and France. But I'm the same as you. I fancy France in a big way.
Yeah, me too. Newcastle United, of course, the women's team played yesterday. Wonderful win in front of another record-breaking crowd, Darren. 2-1 win, and then the interviews were very emotional with with the two respective goal scorers for the women's team. And Amanda Staveley, as we predicted on this show on Sunday, gave the speech in the dressing room, which apparently went down very, very well. So things buzzing with the women's team as well, Darren.
Yeah, it's great to see them. Like the lasses playing at St James's, and the good turnout for them. War Flag had war lasses, It's just good to see for them that fully deserve. They still work. At least they still work and they're playing football. So at least you can see on the voice, you can feel the emotions on the voice when they speak. How glad they are. Like that young lass who scored the second goal. What a goal! Take a bow.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
in front of a crowd nearly 30,000. I mean, it was 28,500 or whatever. 1,500 away from 30,000 crowd, and there's a real thirst for the women's team up here. We knew that would happen, and I guess a lot of people just wanting to get into St James's Park because people are missing the football. Newcastle on such a great run before the World Cup, so some people just wanting to get their fix of St James's Park before the end of the month.
To be fair, Steve, I am missing the football. Like it's strange not like having a game in November and that. I feel a bit lost, to be fair.
Yeah.
But we'll be back before we know it. I've got my Bournemouth ticket there for the cup game, so I'll be looking forward to that one. And then I'll go to Leicester away, so that'll be another good game. And then Leeds.
Yeah, they'll come thick and fast. That's the thing. We're used to so many games at this time of the year, and then not having any and just having to sit at home watching the World Cup. It is a bit alien to us. It has to be said. Geordie Toomba reminds us that the FA Cup draw is tonight, and he's asking who we fancy. Personally, I want Liverpool at home for some revenge, says Geordie Toomba. I've got to be honest. I'd love to see us get Hartlepool, and only because it's a northeast team. And it's a big payday for Hartlepool. I'm fairly confident as well in this day and age that Newcastle aren't going to be on a banana skin with the current setup. And I just think it would be great for the northeast to have a big northeast derby, and Hartlepool getting through. It would be a good money earner for them. Get them at St James's Park, and give them a third round match to remember.
Yeah, it's a good call. Actually, I think it'll be good for the money to get money for them for their little club. Yeah, this is probably the first year the FA Cup. We're not dreading getting anybody because we're in form. We're confident the team is a much better team. So it's the first year in a long time. I hope we'll avoid them. Well, we'll play whoever now. So it's a good feeling that it's just not to be scared any other team.
No, it'll be interesting as well because we'll have played the game against Bournemouth, and that will, of course, I guess, give us an indication of how seriously we're going to take the cups. You'd like to think that they're going to play a full strength team in that game again, or as close as they can, and they really go for that game. So it is interesting, but I guess now we're back at that stage where we were in the 90s and under Sir Bobby in the early 90s, where we said anybody at home, I guess.
Yeah. I wonder if they regret having a friendly on the Saturday. Because we played the FA. That's the only thing I'm a bit wary of. We've got the friendly on the Saturday, then we'll play on the Wednesday. That's the only thing to regret putting a friendly. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. It's a bit hard. It's too
I guess
close.
what they'll do is they'll assess how the players come back from the World Cup for starters. They'll see who's fit and who isn't fit. The friendly. The one thing it will do is give the opportunity for Isak to have a run out if he needs one. He's certainly going to need some minutes on the pitch. It's a good opportunity if he is fit to give Isak a run out. And I think on the other side of it as well, Darren, it also gives the opportunity for some of those fringe players to get some valuable minutes under their belt, and there are some players who, literally can't get in the team at the moment who, could benefit from playing, potentially 45 or even 90 minutes. So that friendly was slipped in, I think, in case Newcastle didn't progress in the cup, and it can be used to their advantage, definitely.
Yeah, that's the only thing I say is, and I'm not going to the friendly game. Like I say, I prefer just going to the cup match. I'd rather let young people who's going for kids and who don't get a chance to go. Me personally, but I'm going to the cup game. It's just a friend, and it's just something. We're not friendly. I thought quite easy. I'll play the second string team, give them a run out,
Yeah.
Rest of the main ones, but a big good run out for them.
Yeah, the team's been announced for the Uruguay-Portugal game. This should be another cracker as well. The Suarez playing, Darwin Núñez is playing, of course, for Uruguay, and Cristiano Ronaldo as well will be featuring tonight. Big shout out to Exposure TV and Brian Scott in the chat. Thanks for joining us tonight. Anything else you want to mention, Darren, about the World Cup? I mean, there was a lot of, essentially, there was a lot of people, against the World Cup going to Qatar. But from what I've seen, the stadiums are fantastic. The management and organisation seems great. And the players seem to be reveling in it. And it's there's been some good games. It's no different to any other World Cup. And like I said, right at the start of this whole process, despite all the negativity towards it, as soon as it kicks off, the football is what everyone is talking about, and rightly so.
Yeah, I totally agree. I guess I know, but we all know what goes on there. But it's their rules, and it's like us going on holiday. We got to live by so many rules. You know what I mean? Like, I don't agree with the rules, but it's where it is. But people don't just play football from the total. People just go on with the football and enjoying it, enjoying the time and all that. You know what I mean? Like, I think people just like to talk about things for a reason, just bring them up for no point. We all know what goes on, but just enjoy the moment, enjoy the history of what's going on. Football getting played.
Yeah, no, I agree, mate. I agree 100%. So anything else you want to speak about, Darren?
That's it, mate. Cheers, thank you very much.
Good stuff, mate. As always, thanks for coming on, and look forward to speaking to you again next week, mate. Take care,
cheers,
pal.
Bye.
And if you want to jump on the show tonight, click the link, just as James has. And here he is. James, how are you, my friend?
Hey, how are you?
And there you are. I've been walking around in sub-degree temperatures, and you've got that lovely blue sky behind you again, mate. Fantastic.
Yeah, it's actually nice out here.
Yeah, it looks lovely, mate. Looks absolutely gorgeous. So, James, let's talk England USA first. Did you watch the game?
Oh, of course. I don't really understand what you guys came out there to accomplish, because, I mean, if we had a strike force like England has, we damn sure wouldn't be playing for a draw. As soon as the Jordan Henderson sub came on. I mean, I was like, Southgate's just throwing in the towel, get his point and get out. If I were an England fan, I'd be highly frustrated, especially the game you just played, a couple days before. Where that performance, I mean, I thought we were going to get drilled, to be honest with you. I don't know where that performance came from, but I was happy to take it, and the big one coming up tomorrow. So hopefully, we both can go through out of the group, and then that's about all I was hoping for this out of this World Cup, was just to make it out of the group and let the chips fall when they may.
Well, it's interesting for me, James, because I predicted a 1-1 draw against USA. Everybody else was predicting 3-0 and 4-0. And I saw this coming. I genuinely felt that, England would not win against the USA. They're a bit of a bogey team for England. We've had some hiccups against them before. And I think, Southgate has been involved in some of those games. And from my perspective, I just felt this was always going to be a potential banana skin rather than the game that we had against Iran. And I also feel that Gareth Southgate is, he's a tournament football manager. He's somebody who looks at the stats and thinks, okay, we've got our first 3 points in the bag. Our goal difference is pretty good. Depending on how this game plays out, depends on on what I do as far as the tactics are concerned. He went for the draw. He was happy with the draw, and I think nothing showed up more than that when he brought Henderson on. Henderson was experienced. He's not gonna push forward and try and get you a goal, and he just showed it up. He went for the point, and he's happy because he knows England have qualified, which in his perspective is a good thing, and he's confident, I guess, that with his team that he's got, he'll be able to beat Wales in the in the third and final game and go through. So I'm not going to criticize him, but I understand why people are. Darren's just been on and very critical of Southgate, not a fan of Southgate. But for me, the guy got us to a final, he got us to a semi-final in the last 2 tournaments, and I genuinely feel that potentially could get us a little bit further again this time round. Will he get us to a semi-final? Will he get us to a final? I don't know. But, I genuinely think there are at least 3, if not 4, better teams than England in this World Cup this year. And I think it'll be a hard ask. But you never know. You get the luck of the draw, and, you could just get a result against one of those big teams and ending up in the final. So who knows? It'll be interesting. Do you fancy your chances against Iran now? Then do you think this? You think that USA will progress?
Yes. Just by the slimmest of margins. I don't know what to make of Iran. From their, they pretty much got torn apart in their first game, and in their second game, they got the result, but I'm not going to say it was dominant by any stretch. The red card should have never been. But I'm really hoping the team that played against England shows up tomorrow, and we've still got to find somebody to put the ball in the back of the net, which has been our Achilles heel forever. And we knew that coming into this tournament, but just, I could see easily 1-0 tomorrow.
Yeah, listen, I think USA are more than capable of getting through. I think the backdrop of the political issues that are going on in Iran have certainly been playing on the players' minds, and I think they were on the players' minds in that very first game. I think England put in a wonderful performance, and I think England would have beaten most teams on the day with that kind of performance. But I think the Iranian team have clearly been affected by what's going on back home. But they used that emotion in a different way in the second game, and clearly, the sending off did help. Iran when the Wales keeper had a rush of blood and came out, and subsequently yellow card was turned to red.
Yeah.
But I genuinely feel, I feel sorry for those people of Iran. They're going through this big, these big changes, and there's a lot of people in conflict with each other and conflict with themselves. Over whether to sing the national anthem, whether or not. So I think if the USA can put in a similar kind of performance than they did against England, I would tip the USA to go through with England tomorrow, 100%. Have you got a team? I was speaking to Darren before you came on about this tournament in general. I've watched a lot of the games. I've watched probably as many as I would normally do, and I've been very impressed with France, very impressed by Spain, and very impressed by Brazil. 3 teams which are thereabouts in most of these tournaments over days gone by, over years gone by. I'm still gonna say that I fancy France to win it. If I've got to pick a team, but Brazil again tonight looked fantastic, and the performance from Bruno, Newcastle's talismanic midfielder, when he came on as well, was rather special.
I'll go with France also. I mean, you're doing all this without Benzema. I mean, Mbappe's just. I mean, he's worth any bit of money he's getting. He's well worth it. They just don't really have a weakness. In Brazil, are you gonna put Neymar back in the starting lineup when he's ready, or are you gonna let Richarlison take over the reins? From a lot of the Brazilian fans that I know here, they were pretty much split on whether he should have even been in the team. They're over Neymar. So with that being said, I'd give France the edge, but like something I could easily see something French happening to that team. Wait, they're the architects of their own downfall, and you could just see something maybe off the pitch happening that that may distract the team, because it's a group of characters over there. Sometimes they get along, sometimes they don't. So with France, would be my odds-on favorite. Maybe I'll get Joe to lay me down some money.
Yeah, well, that's it. You never know. Is Ronaldo going to be on fire tonight? Says Exposure TV. You never know. You never know. It depends which Ronaldo turns up. But look, it's been fantastic. It's been great. It's been great to watch so far. And like I said, the football was always going to win. Win out. Win the day. We've seen that happen time and time again. And this isn't the most controversial place that a World Cup's been to. It's just the most controversial time to hold a World Cup. But we've talked about that until the cows come home. Anything from a Newcastle perspective, James, before I move on?
I'm ready for the season to start back.
I know it feels as if it's been weeks, doesn't it? Weeks rather than days since the season finished. And I mean that we were on such a good run. And I guess things haven't stopped behind the scenes at Newcastle, which is a massive positive there. Obviously we're talking about the FA Cup draw, which I'll ask you about in a moment. But Newcastle also working hard to bringing in people behind the scenes again, James. Poaching a scout from Manchester City, which is positive. So again, looking to build things behind the scenes.
Yeah, I mean, we should just hire one of their accountants since they know how to fiddle around with that FFP pretty well. But we're going after the big boys and taking their assets. We're not the only ones out there that might enjoy a nice long-term project with unlimited resources.
And talk today in the Evening Chronicle that Newcastle are going to unveil one of the biggest sponsorship deals for next season in the club's history. Which again, no surprise there. No rumors as to who it would be, but again, just more positivity. Mason in the chat says, "How's the chickens and the squirrels, Jimmy?"
They're quiet today. It's the chipmunks right now. So
chipmunks, fantastic.
Yeah, but everybody's nice. Yeah, everyone's happy here now because we have one of these warm days cycled in between a couple brutal cold days coming up.
And can you just tell us what a cold day is, Jimmy, in temperature for you?
Usually if it gets below 50, degrees
Yeah.
Fahrenheit.
Thanks, Jimmy.
I mean,
All right.
yeah.
Well, good to have you on as always, mate. I hope you and the family are well, and look forward to catching up with you again the next time, mate. Okay?
All right. Take it easy.
Take care, buddy. Bye-bye. Great to have James on. As always, going to have a quick ad break, and then we're going to bring Kevin. A big thanks to all our sponsors, starting off with Skips and Bins. Telephone 0800 25 45 25 3. Email inquiries at skipsandbins.com. The website is www.skipsandbins.com. Easy, contract free, and pay-as-you-go waste collection. Thanks also to Garden of Healing Dispensary, CBD hemp and cannabinoid specialists. Find them at thegohd.com. Thanks also to 3 Properties, and they specialise in sourcing investment properties for their clients who are looking to invest in the Northeast. They offer a full in-house service from sourcing the deals to managing the properties for you. They've done over 100 plus deals in the past 12 months for clients all over the UK. Give them a follow on Instagram, matty.patter_northeast property and phil.reed_northeast property, or email phil@3property.co.uk if you're interested in getting a good property deal. Big thanks also to Mr. Vicky's sauces, handmade in Cumbria. You can find them at mrvickys.co.uk, or order some of the sauces by calling 01768 210 102 or emailing info@mrvickys.co.uk. Thanks also to Blowhole Brewery, and their cans are vast and in the shape of the old Newcastle United strips from the 1990s. Bonnie Blonde, Geordie Juice, and Fog of the Tyne. Some great beers. Get yourself to blowholebrewery.co.uk to order your cans in for the festive period. Thanks to Media Arts for all the help with the video side of things. And thanks to qtechshop.co.uk, makers of pool tables and snooker tables in Wallsend, Newcastle. If you want to subscribe to the channel, hit the subscribe button on the bottom right-hand corner. Hit the like button and click share. Please join the channel as well to support us. We're also available as a podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast providers. If you want to join the channel, you can use this QR code or just go to nufcmatters.com and look for membership pack. If you join in that particular way, you get a scarf, a cup, a pen, and a membership card, and entry into the monthly draw. We also give you a free car sticker. All you need to do is subscribe to the show and then email john@nufcmatters.com to claim it. We also support the food bank on this channel, nufcfansfoodbank.co.uk. Go to that website and make a virtual donation today. A couple of events coming up. Paul Gascoigne is at the Fed on the 4th of December. Contact the Fed in Dunstan and Gateshead for more information. And Peter Beardsley, 20 tickets left for this, is at St. Dom's Catholic Club in Newcastle on the 10th of February next year. Contact St. Dom's via their contact details on their website or on Twitter. If you're looking for a Christmas present for a Newcastle fan, you can go to badboysbooks.net. You could order a copy of Enemy from the Bender Squad to the Gremlins, or the last remaining copies of Black or White, No Grey Areas by Lee Clark and Will Scott. If you're looking for a Christmas jumper for your night out, go to nufcmatters.com and get your Bruno jumper today. 25 minutes left, and the build-up to the game against Uruguay against Portugal is ongoing on ITV. Last World Cup game of today. Jules says, I've watched England long enough to know now to manage my expectations, especially after the first game, so I'm not disappointed. It's as much tactics as it is sexy, entertaining football, in my opinion. Yeah, and it's about tournament football. That's exactly the way that Gareth Southgate, addresses this. Few players who you would say maybe shouldn't be in the squad, in the team, but I mean, look at Harry Maguire. A lot of people slating him before he went there. He hasn't played well for Manchester United, for best part of 2 seasons. Yet, when he plays for England, something different about him. It really is strange. Bad Blood Podcast. Good evening. He says he should have introduced Foden against the USA. Barry Cope says, evening all, ain't been on due to work. I hope Callum Wilson plays tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, Callum Wilson got a great run out as a substitute, of course, against Iran. Lovely ball back for Jack Grealish to score. But Harry Kane, doesn't look himself, does he? Certainly something not right with Harry Kane. Maybe it's the fact that in his club football, he's not playing in his regular position, and also got problems with his ankles. Geordie Tumor Life says, my prediction before a ball was kicked, England, USA, Iran and Wales. I don't see the need to change. Mine, Stu, put the muckers on Belgium. I tried to tell him the back four is too old. You definitely did. Well done to Vince as well, who was at the food bank for the women's football match yesterday at St James's Park, helping raise money, dressed as Batman. Well done, Vince. You do like your superheroes. Bill also says, hey, at Southgate, ever since the defeat against Italy, his tactics were terrible then, and England keep putting in these terrible performances. Good evening to Paul Gallant as well. Just trying to get through these comments before I bring Kevin. Can't see England getting to the quarterfinals, to be honest. Compared to France and Brazil, we are slow in transition, says Steve Middlemas. Bad Blood Podcast says, Brazil's first game, I reckon Bruno could have came on and made an impact. Gaps that were in the midfield just in front of the 18-yard box, I reckon he could have done some damage. Yeah, I agree 100%. Rachel, good evening, says, I work for a French company and the last thing I want is for France to win the World Cup. Unfortunately, they look like they might, and I genuinely feel that they have got a very, very serious chance of winning the World Cup. Okay, bringing in Kev. Good evening, mate. How are you?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, very good, mate. So, what have you made of the World Cup? Have you enjoyed it as much as I have? I've a lot of talk about it. Shouldn't be in Qatar. It's bad time to have it at this time of year, etc. But when all said and done, we're into it now, and there's been some great games. Today has been really good.
Yeah, I missed. Yeah, to be fair, I watched pretty much all of them, but the early 4 or 5 a.m. games from the time zone standpoint, because I'm not getting that up early. The only early game I got up was for the England game. That was and it was a long day after Thanksgiving over here, so it was quite a long day after a full day of turkey and all the rest of it. So that was a busy one, but yeah, so that was a house divided. So but yeah, I've enjoyed it. It's a World Cup. Football precedes politics at the end of the day, in my opinion, and that's always going to be the winner. So yeah, I've really enjoyed it. My missus is involved. She pays attention a little bit, but I'm more standing 2 inches from the TV, watching, seeing who's doing what, and seeing what players we could potentially look into. And yeah, so yeah, I've enjoyed it, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, that England-USA game, obviously it's got added spice for you because, you're out there and, you, as you say, house divided. I mean, what did you make of that game? I mean, am I right in a sense that Southgate looks at this as tournament football? He got a great win against Iran, but, nobody can get carried away with a 6-2 win against Iran, but ultimately some people do. I fancied a 1-1 draw. I didn't get the scoreline right, but I was right in the fact that I just felt it was going to be a tough game, and you can't take any team for granted in the World Cup because, as we've seen today, that crazy scorelines. We've seen Germany defeated, we've seen Argentina defeated in this tournament already. So anybody can beat anybody. Cameroon 3, Serbia 3 today, Korea Republic 2, Ghana 3. Apart from Brazil and Spain and France, and England, of course, England are still unbeaten. There's some of the big guns have not had it their own way. So what was your take on that England-USA game?
I mean, well, obviously, since I work out here, coach out here, I see it on a regular basis, and I knew going in, I was giving it to my mates out here. Oh, we're going to smash you, just having a bit of crack with them and all the rest of it. And they've got no clue of how to respond to that, being English and all the rest of it. But I know what we look for in players over here, and that's quick, athletic, powerful. Maybe not the best technically in the world, but you have to give you all for everything. That's just an American-based sport. That's how it's driven into you. So I knew it was going to be a difficult game. But I just didn't think it was going to be that much of a hard task for England to break down the United States back line. My boss, who's a West Ham fan, we said defensively the United States aren't the best in the world. So if you push higher a little bit, if you work hard, press like a higher press, then they're having a mid to low block, then we should be successful and we should win the game. And we were saying 1-0, 2, whatever, just an England win. however it came about, we don't really care. But like you said, it's tournament football. I've been in and around, even in youth level here, it's goals matter, head-to-heads matter. The more you score, your head-to-heads, your goal difference, everything comes into play. So I think you hit the nail on the head with Gareth Southgate. I don't like the guy. I think this is his last one. But if you get, like, we won 6-2 against Iran, that's a +2. So it's pragmatism going into the next game. So, okay, well, knowing that we've won 6-2, knowing that if we don't get beat, we're still probably going to qualify. We've just got to get a result, a win or a draw against Wales, and we're through. Now it's up to the other three to fight amongst themselves. And it's just like in other groups, you got, like you said, the Brazils, the Frances, and Spains who are running away with their relevant division. And it's like a dog-eat-dog who's going to finish second in every one of them, essentially. It's that tight. Everybody's beating everybody else. So, well, anybody can beat the Germans. I'm not, it is what that is. But tournament football is a completely different level to a regular league game. It's not like it's like a Champions League, yes, but that's spread over. But this is very condensed. In my tournaments, I played 2 games on one day on the Saturday, Sunday. Your first game is the most important game. So you have to win that one. If you don't win that one, then your second game becomes the most important game. If you lose your second game, you're pretty much out. So I understand it where it came from, but I just thought it was very pragmatic, and even Dow said it was just Steve Bruce. It was just like watching that. Even in the first game, to a degree, it was no pressing. It was just we were just the better side in the first game, and we just got the goals when we needed them. And yes, they scored 2 with a penalty and whatever, but it was just it's just disappointing to say. And if I was Gareth Southgate, I would say just treat it like a Premier League game. Treat it like as if you were playing in the Premier League, and not, you've got a cluster of players from different parts of the country and this and that, and how they play in their club side. But just go and have a go. Give it a go. And on Friday against the United States, it was just, we'll just sit in, we'll see what happens. We'll not even play on the counter-attack. We didn't even do that because it was like a 4. Then we played pretty much, Harry Kane played as the deepest 10 I've ever seen in my life. I mean, he was playing more like a defensive midfielder half the time, based on that he's crocked. I don't know what his mindset is, but I understand his mindset at the same time. Is that grey area of like, where do you push for the second win? That's what I would have done. Let's get through the group. Let's win the group. Then the third game against Wales, because I'm not saying Wales are the best team in the world, but they could potentially beat us on Tuesday. And what they got to lose, they got nothing to lose. We've got everything to gain, so why not? That's the tournament football element of it. So it was just I thought it was just poor from Southgate. I thought his substitutions were poor. I thought he didn't want to go win the game. I thought he'd be pragmatic and get a draw, and that's what we got. But unbeaten wasn't great. I mean, I was standing there nearly throwing everything off the TV and whatever, just pacing around my living room, screaming at just because you want the team to go win. But I've said to friends, I've said to my boss, my wife, it's what we're used to seeing now as a Newcastle United fan.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you kind of your expectation of that standard of football should be, even at international level, because you got better players per se. But so
are you in the Phil Foden fan club?
Absolutely,
So
absolutely.
Do you think he should start tomorrow?
Yeah, I would. I mean, I've heard that Jude Bellingham's going to be not dropped, but Henderson's going to come in for him. There's all these reports, but I would have brought Foden on earlier. I would even brought him on at half time because I thought Mason Mount was very ineffective in the game. I
was going to say, who would you drop, Mason Mount or Raheem Sterling?
Mount, both, because I thought they were both ineffective. Because I seen Raheem Sterling drop deep and he was just walking. To even when because the Americans would get it wide, the big part, I can't remember the guy's the centre forward's name, but he's a big unit, he's a big lad, and so they were putting balls in the box and Raheem Sterling was just walking. And I thought, well, if you're a wide player playing in a 4-3-3 and dropping in to make it a 5 or whatever it is, you're still going to have to stop the cross. I mean, I think whoever it is on the preferred, even in the 3 minutes, stop the cross. And he didn't. He just stopped and walked, and that's how they created their opportunities, because they played relatively high and played on England's inability to break the lines and passing forward. And it was and a fair play to the United States. I've said to my friends who are US fans and stuff like that and kind of understand the game. It's like, hey, fair play to you. You know, you not played us off the park, but you worked harder than us. You wanted it more than us. You know, so and I said, well, you'll still not go through. You still get beaten in the next round, but you know, you still got to give them a little bit of crap about it. But you know, so I just thought they wanted it more, meant more to them than it did to us. In a lot of respects, and like with Saka, the same thing. I thought he was ineffective, so I'll change the front three.
Interesting. We'll see what happens there. Paul Watson says, I've just got back from the Brazil game. Fantastic Bruno game. I'll be at the next Brazil game too. I'm working here on the World Cup. Enjoy, Paul.
Oh, nice,
Les says, I got the impression Southgate himself sees this as his last tournament. So why not go out with a bang and show the world the best of British? And Morris says, I live in South Florida now. I told all my customers it would be a draw. They didn't believe me, but trust Southgate to make me look intelligent. And Brian says, yes, he is Team Foden. Kevin, when I knew you were coming on as well, I just want to ask you about John Herdman, who, of course, is the Canadian men's national soccer team manager. Of course, he's a Northeast connection. He is from Concert.
My mum's neck of the woods. Yeah, she's from that part of the world.
Obviously, he did his studies at Northumbria University, but manager of the Canadian men's national team. Interesting. What must have been like for him to be there and part of that? I think he'll have learned a lot. Maybe not to say before a game that you're gonna beat Croatia, because I think the Croatians took that to heart.
Well, you can take the can't take the jolly out of the lad, if you will. You know, you're going to speak your mind. Look, I appreciate his enthusiasm. Them being there for donkey's years or whatever it is, like the Welsh. You know, so you got to have a bit of fighting spirit. They're not renowned World Cup appearance holders or whatever. So give it a go. But yeah, since he's a local lad and I graduated from Northumbria University as well, so it's like a similar track, even though he's only 5'4" and I'm almost 6 foot. But it's weird. But yeah, just proud for the lad. Even though it didn't go to plan, they've got through with the United States and Mexico over here. Next year is going to be the next World Cup. Sorry, is going to be interesting because it's a home World Cup for them, so they'll not have to qualify because they're using that. They've got a three country bid in that within the 2026. So. Again, it's onwards and upwards, and I've read some of his stuff where his career path, where it took him into women's football, into New Zealand, and into Canada, and his development's been awesome for a local lad to do what he's done in the game. You know, it inspires me a little bit, because I'm in the youth game, yes, but it inspires me to say a lad from little old Concert in the middle of not nowhere, but you can do something with it and do something in the game. But yeah. To say you're going to smash Croatia and whoever else and go and win the World Cup, it's a little bit win a game first, and then you can maybe start or play or whatever you got to do. But at the same time, just keep your mouth shut and say that, keep that within internally, absolutely. But externally, you got billions of people. You got billions of people watching. You're just going to make you made a rod for your own back at that point. So, yeah. Never. Never.
I mean, the tabloids in Croatia weren't happy. I mean, I think they ran a full-page photo of a naked man below the Canada manager's superimposed head. I think they stuck maple leaf flags over his mouth and his private parts, and they put basically a headline that translated, "You have the mouth, but do you have the balls as well?" Which I think ultimately tells you that it got to them. And I don't think the Croatian manager was too happy at the end of the game, because according to Dalic, Herdman didn't shake his hand. I mean, a lot of these things.
Yeah, I've seen that as well. I mean, show a bit of respect a little bit. You got pumped for. Go. I'm in the same vein. I don't like it. You might throw your toys out the cot a little bit, but you still go and shake the hand and said, "Well, hey, well done, and all the best for the rest of the tournament." Whatever it is, and for the best of the season. Just move on. Again, it'll be a massive learning curve for him. He's done it with the Canadian women's and World Cups, Olympics and stuff. But again, this is a completely different level. And I would snap his arms off just to be there, just to be involved in it in some capacity. But again, it's a massive learning curve for him. So, but again, a fair play for him to get there.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. The women's team were at St James's Park yesterday. 28,565 fans braved a cold day, but a dry day on Tyneside to see the FA Women's Cup second round tie against Barnsley. Newcastle run out 2-1 winners. It's on the up. I mean, that exceeded the 22,134 that were there for the league game against Alnwick Town. I mean, it's huge attendances, isn't it?
Oh, it's great. I mean, I'm involved in girls football over here, so I've seen the rise and growth of it. But to see it in your hometown, yes, there's no men's games, there's nothing, not outside the World Cup going on. So why not get people involved? You know, the inclusion element of it, and you know, I'm a big proponent of, you know, if somebody's interested in something, well, let's go and expose them to it and make them fall in love with it. Well, the only way, if they're interested in women football or being a footballer, take them to the game, take them to do whatever, you know, and just expose them to it. And I thought it was fantastic to see Amanda. I mean, I got goosebumps. I wish I was lacing up, you know, putting my boots on. And I mean, I got quite emotional listening to her as an owner and an advocate of women's football for the club. I think she's the one who's really spearheading it to push forward with the ownership and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, it was fantastic to see 28,500 people there. I mean, it's like what dreams are made of. And I heard some of the interviews afterwards, and I mean, for them to score worldies from 30 odd yards in the Gallagher and, you know, and going running and celebrating in front of that crowd. I mean, I can only imagine as a local lad, still a season ticket holder, to do that. And I've had the pleasure of playing on the pitch, but without hardly anybody in there. We're still that buzz. So I was just amazed at it's the support, it's the Newcastle people, it's our community, and it's pretty much, and I say that people over here all the time, it's pretty much all what we know. That it's a football city, it's a brewery city, it's a hard working class city. This is what we know. We know football, we know how to have a drink of beer, and we know a lot of other stuff. But at the same time, that's all what we like to do. We like to go and support. Mitch said it last night on the professionals. Anybody in a black and white shirt, we'll go and support you. You know, whatever what's going on, we'll figure out a way to get there. And so, yeah, it was just great to see, and I can just see going from strength to strength to strength. You know, Beck Langley's obviously doing a great job in what she's doing, and all the staff and all the team, and get a little bit of insides of information of what's going on with my mom working at the state within the academy, and she's had a few chats with the players and stuff, and they were just buzzing about the whole thing. And yeah, so I'm just proud of them. I'm just proud to be a Newcastle fan at the end of the day.
Yeah, Gary Milligan says, rest in peace, Doddy Weir and Speedo. Yeah, 11 years for Speedo and Doddy Weir. We made a tribute to him on the professional show the other day. Tom Dixon says, I'd like to see a cup final at St James's Park one day. I think it would be great for our city. Cup draw coming up tonight. Newcastle are ball number 27, Kevin. Any preference as to who you'd like to see out the hat?
Home draw. Don't really care. Anybody at home. Really wouldn't like not non-league, but a lower level side. But again, I don't really care who we play at the minute. I think we'll take anybody on, even if it's a Man City or a Liverpool or one of the big boys, in commas, big boys now. I would take anybody on the way that he's got us playing. It just all depends on players those who are on international duty. The Saudi trip, how does that work out in terms of, do we pick up niggles, do we pick up things from here, how does this mini preseason go? But again, anybody at home, or I mean, I don't care, could be played at wherever down in the country somewhere. I'm not really concerned of who we get. It's just, again, Eddie Howe's mentality of, all right, it's another game, we'll be professional, we'll do it right, even if it, like the Palace game when we went to penalties, you know, yes, it went to penalties, but we still won the game. It's the mentality of going winning the game. And so, again, I'm not bothered, mate, to be honest. Just bring it on, whoever it is. We'll play on the front foot. We'll give it a go. What happens after 90 minutes happens after 90 minutes. And more than likely, hopefully, it'll be a good result. So we'll see what happens.
Cambridge got knocked out, thank God, says Jordan Timberlake.
Yeah, take them on down at their place and see what happens and turn them over down there. And just put it back in them. But yeah,
exactly. Yeah, just to finish off, Kev. Newcastle being linked with Trossard again, and also bringing in a scout from Manchester City. Another wise appointment by the club. But yeah, Trossard. We've spoken about him on the show before. It's a player we're being.
I don't know. I've seen of them, yes, but I haven't seen. Probably, not no disrespect to Brighton, but he's good technically on the ball. He can. I mean, personally, I'll go for Madison, to be perfectly honest. And the boy from Spain, Casemiro, I watched him again when in their first game, and I just didn't watch them. I didn't watch where the ball went. I just didn't watch Casemiro. I thought he was fabulous playing in the number 10. Similar to you can play 2-8s or whatever, and manipulate the midfield. But yeah, I'll go for them too. I think that outside of Trossard, yes, his Premier League experience probably a great, not a problem. But to the level what I think we need to go, James Maddison, yes, I think that's been well documented on here. But just another one, and I think it was mentioned a while ago. Casemiro, whatever he's called, from Real Madrid, Asensio. Sorry.
Asensio, yeah. Sorry. So Asensio he just dominated. He just played between the lines. He picked out passes. It almost put me to sleep, the Spain game, but at the same time, it's just watching Barcelona of the old, and I think that's the way we're trending to go, and how we want to play. So I'll go after them too. Another one that I would, what's his name? I quite fancy the Antonio Robinson, the American left back. I thought he was quite decent against England. He's another one just to throw into the mix because he's got a bit of pace, and athletic. But again, it's we could speculate until the cows come home. But at the end of the day, it's not our money. It's not our decision. I trust Eddie, what he does and who he wants at the end of the day. Asensio is class, Vince, and somebody who we got linked with last summer. Let's see. Kev,
just on the Man City lad. I mean, it's building, like I said a couple of weeks ago, whenever the last time I was on, it's building a team within the team. Yeah. And he's coming in as a youth recruitment officer, not just regionally. He's going to oversee the whole thing. So I think it's a brilliant move. Again, it's teams within teams, and get linked with every youth player. We're not going to go down the Chelsea road, but at the same time, it's identifying the best worldwide talent. However, I would go, being was at the club and was at Sunderland and whatever as a kid, we have to go locally. We'll have to build a base of local lads, local kids to first, in my opinion, then go worldwide. And then you have that mix, like the first team, where you've got a mix of local lads, and then you've got the international flair. But then you bring them all together, and guess what? You've got pretty much the first team what we have already.
Good point. Yeah, good point when made. Thanks to you, Kevin, as always. Thanks to James. Thanks to Darren for popping on as well. I'm going to close this one down tonight because I think people will be interested in watching Uruguay against Portugal. Kevin should be back on next Monday, so if you want to jump on then, we'll get you on.
I will do, mate. Yeah, I should be good to go.
Take care, mate. Have a good week.
All right, you too. Have a great one.
Bye-bye. Thanks to everybody. Thanks to all the moderators and everybody in the chat. And happy birthday to two former players, Martin Thomas and to Kenny Wharton. Hope you have had a good day, lads. I'm back 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon with Ross Gregory. Take care. Have a good night.